Hi and welcome back. Let's see if you could solve these radical equations. They look pretty tricky, but they aren't, I promise you. So the first one is the square root of 2x plus 3 equals x minus 1. Okay, so what we want to do first is remove that square root. So we're going to square both sides. So that means that my left-hand side stays 2x plus 3, but we've squared both sides, so it gets rid of that square root. My right-hand side becomes 2x minus 1, and we've squared it. Another way to think of this is we're bringing the square root across the equal sign, and the opposite of square root is squared, and that's why this becomes squared. Okay, so let's expand the right-hand side. So left-hand side is still 2x plus 3, and if you have x minus 1 squared, it basically means x minus 1, x minus 1. And if we expand that, you have to use 4, so you're going to do that times that first, which is x squared, then that times that, which is negative x, that times that, which is negative x, and then that times that, which is, be careful of the signs over here, neg 1 times neg 1 is positive x. Okay, let's collect like terms. So you've got minus x over here, which is just minus 2x plus 1. Okay, so this is what we're left with. And now let's make everything equal to 0. And ideally, we want my x squared term to be positive. So let's bring everything to the right-hand side. So we're going to bring that 2x to the right-hand side. And it will become a negative because it's positive on the left. And that positive 3 will also bring to the right-hand side, and it will also become negative. So my right-hand side, I'm just going to write this. This is what I have. So we have x squared minus 2x plus 1, and then we brought that 2x across. So it becomes negative 2x. And we've also brought that 3 across, so it becomes negative 3. And that equals to 0. Okay, then we could collect like terms again. So you've got minus 2x, which is minus 4x. So we've got x squared minus 4x, and then we've got positive 1 take 3. Positive 1 take 3 is negative 2, right? So it would be x squared minus 4x minus 2. Okay, now what we need to do is solve this. We can't factorize this quadratic equation, so we're going to use the quadratic formula. So remember, any quadratic could be rewritten in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, and let's write out what the values of a, b, and c are. So in this case, a is 1, because there's a 1 over here, b is negative 4, c is negative 2. Let's write out the quadratic formula, which is minus b plus or minus square root of b squared take 4ac all over 2a. And let's plug in my values. So we've got negative 4. And whenever you've got two negatives, it just becomes a positive. Plus or minus b squared take 4ac. Okay, so let's use brackets so we don't get our negatives confused. All over 2a. Okay, what we next do is work out what's inside my square root. So we're going to work out this. Okay, so we still have negative 4 plus or minus. Minus 4 squared is 16. Okay, and then neg 4 times 1 times neg 2 is positive 8. So be careful of that sign. That's all going to be over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, then we can work out what 16 plus 8 is, which is 24. So we're left with minus 4 plus or minus square root of 24 divided by 2. And we could probably go a bit further. Let's write out all the factors of 24. So you could have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 6. And we're going to choose 4 and 6, okay? Because 4 is a root, is a square number, so we could square root it. So what we're doing over here is instead of writing 24, we're going to write that as 4 times 6, and I'll explain why. So we've got 4 plus or minus, and instead of writing 24, we're going to say that is 4 times 6, all over 2. And there's a rule, whenever you're square rooting two multiples, you could split that, and you could just say it's the square root of a times the square root of b. So that means that square root of 4 times 6, we could just split as root 4, root 6. So we have negative 4 plus or minus root 4 root 6 all over 2. And root 4, we could work this out as 2. So we have minus 4 plus or minus 2 root 6 all over 2. And then we could take out 2 as a factor from the top. So that would I would be left with negative 2 plus or minus root 6 on top and 2 on the bottom over here. Which means you could you could simplify these two, right? Because you've got a 2 on the bottom and a 2 on the top. And so my final answer actually is 2 plus or minus root 6. So that was a beast of a question, but a pretty fun question. Hopefully that makes sense and you're feeling good. Well done if you followed that and you got that answer correct.